Hello, hello. This is Nancy Juetten, and I am the host of the Learn More, Earn More show. I am the creator of the Love Your Business, Love Your Life Inner Circle and a podcast guesting success expert. And from time to time, I interview the most amazing experts on this show who have value to add that's outside of my own expertise so that you can truly learn more to earn more. And today is a very special day because we have none other than the incomparable Tom Poland in the house. Now, Tom
Ta-da!
Poland is a marketing mentor who started his first business at age 24, and he's gone on to start and sell four others, taking two of them international. In that time, he's managed teams over 100 people and annual revenue of more than $20 million. But what are we here to talk about? We're here to talk about how to generate 6 or 7 figure revenue while enjoying a 5-day weekend. Is there anybody listening
Yay!
today who wants that? Because if that's exciting to you, boy, oh boy, lean in to this because we are ready to have a fantastic conversation. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nancy. Pleasure as always to be here. And congratulations on your move from the Pacific Northwest, where it is apparently often cold and damp, to where you're now, Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson, Arizona, could not be happier. Could not be
Hard to
happier.
think of two more extremes. And it only took you 35 years. It only took you 35 years of living out there to figure out you wanted something drier.
You know, doesn't it give us hope that there's still time to make the next chapter our best chapter,
Nice,
right?
like it. Yeah. And I think the subject matter today is right in line with that about the 5-day weekend, and I think I'm going to write a book on it, but I think it's called something like Flip It. Instead of having a 2-day weekend, have a 5-day weekend, make the work week 2 days. Yeah, because a lot of us start our own businesses to get better lifestyle, right? We want more freedom, we want a bit more money, so we have more choice about what we do and who we do it with and where we do it. And all too often it ends up ugly. We're working not 5 days a week from the old job, but working 6 or sometimes 6.5 days a week, and we're not making as much money as we were, and we're just scrambling around. So there are some keys which hopefully we can unpack. But I just want to reassure everyone that that dream that you had when you thought, I want to be my own boss, keep it alive. Keep the passion, keep the vision. I know it's hard as much as anyone else. I know it's hard. It didn't always turn out so good, but yeah. I'll shut up now and let you ask the questions, Nancy.
Well, I think everyone, quite a few people who are watching or listening are going to be thinking, wow, that sounds like a really cool thing, a 5-day weekend. So, if we want to scale from 6 to 7 figures, what are the key strategies or actions that you took to grow your business from low 6 figures to mid 6 figures and then to 7 figures? And were there specific changes you had to make at each stage of growth?
Oh, that's a big question. Let's start to unpack it and remind me if I hadn't complete the answer. So the first thing and the most practical thing that I'd suggest anyone can do right from the get-go, which is the start. And think of this kind of like a wedge, something that increases because you can't get there overnight, not unless you're a billionaire. The first thing you can do, and the first thing I did, and I look way back, you know, decades ago, was I hired someone for 5 hours a week to take some admin off my shoulders. I outsourced the bookkeeping. That was one of the first things to a bookkeeper and who liaised with my account. Um, I hired someone. This was in the very early days of freelancing. I hired a freelancer for 5 hours a week. I had a bit of an idea of what I wanted to do, but it wasn't clear, and I worried that I was going to have 5 hours a week work for them. But that 5 hours soon became 10 hours and 15 hours and 30 hours. And it wasn't long. It was only really a couple of years before I was saying, hey, we need to limit your time to 40 hours a week. So, but that's the start of the wedge. That's the start of getting stuff out of your life and into someone else's life. And it's all around aligning your time with your inclinations. You can talk about following your passion and so on. That's all valid and real, etc. But when I say inclinations, think about when you wake up in the morning, what you are inclined to do. And if there's two types of people, there's the cats, as I call them, who love the detail and the routine and the I dotting and the T crossing and the cash flow spreadsheets and the IT stuff. And then there's the dogs like me who are, a bit more basic that like creating stuff. They have a lot of ideas and they like working with people. So if you're a dog, you get all the cat stuff out of your life. Don't be a dog trying to meow. Do the stuff you were born to do. Do the stuff your DNA calls you to do. Do the stuff that you believe is in your destiny. So I think that's the first key is just find a freelancer, go to upwork.com, pay them the 30 or $40 a month. You can cancel the next month if you want to, which gets you into the elite level. So you can hire someone who is 95% plus in the approval ratings, has done $10,000 or more in invoices. You want someone like that and get them on board for 5 hours. That's the start because it's all very well going, let's do seven figures and have a 5-day weekend. But where do you start? And that is a very tangible place to start. The next step is to get your diary out. It's just to go to a 4-day work week. So you get your diary out. I want to give people really practical things they can do now. So there's no excuse to say, oh, it's too big. Bite-sized chunks. The next thing you do, you get your diary out and you go to next month and you block out one day, a Friday, a Monday, or Wednesday, it doesn't really matter, but you block out one day a week to join up. So you've got 3 days off every week. And if you can't do it next month because of prior commitments, go to the next month. But you book that out as a recurring meeting with yourself in your calendar every single week. Pick the day you want to have off the most. I mean, I started with Wednesdays, which worked really well because effectively I had a 2-day work week on Monday, Tuesday, had a 1-day weekend, 2-day work week, and a 2-day weekend. And it worked incredibly well. And these days I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, and most of Thursday. 5 days off work a week is too much. So there's two practical things, and so you in the space of 10 minutes or so, we're starting to delegate stuff that is not meant to be in your life, and we've got you to a 3-day weekend. So that's pretty good progress.
Absolutely. That's something that everyone that's watching or listening can do. So,
Correct.
so how were you able to reduce your working hours to 4-day week while still growing your revenue? What
Well,
systems, tools, or delegation strategies made
well,
this?
there is a lot involved, and so just to unpack that, it basically comes down to people, processes, and protocols. So the 5-hour freelancer, you start with that person. You've got someone that's rated 95% plus and all those other things I talked about from Upwork.com. And no, I don't have shares in Upwork.com, but I wish I had the number of people I referred to them. Um, and so you start with that. So it's all about people hire the best, pay them as much as you can afford. Most people look at paying as little as they can. Pay as much as you can afford and get the best, and they'll stay with you for years and if not decades. So that's the first thing. That's the people. And slowly but surely, if you do a list of everything, it's an exercise I've taught many clients. You do a list of absolutely everything you do every single week, and it's probably 50, 60, 70 items. And you have a column which is passion and purpose and profit. So these are the things that any item on that which is highly profitable, is something you enjoy doing, and gives you a sense of fulfillment. That's the passion, profit, purpose. That gets a tick next to that activity. So you've got all these on a spreadsheet, all these activities later. First column, passion, purpose, profit. Anything gets a tick of all three of those things, that stays in your job description ad infinitum. Anything else is fair game for delegation or free to a freelancer. So you work from your 5-hour week, single person, to we have a small team in the Philippines. Most of them working 5 hours a week. They do a specific function. For example, find guests for my podcast. That's one person. Follow up with the guests and organize joint ventures. That's another person. Um, Book the debrief meetings with our marketing partners. That's that same person. But everyone on my team reports to a business manager living in Florida, Mike Levin, who's a godsend for me. So the only person who reports directly to me these days is Mike. So you progress from the 5-hour single person freelancer to having a small team of people. One of the next milestones, by the way, is you get your people to hire the next person. So my ops manager, Olivia, who's wonderful, is in the Philippines. She's hired our entire Filipino team. Um, so, so she hires them. She has a sense of empowerment, a sense of commitment to make them successful, and she can work with them and train them, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, so so yeah. So where are we going with that? Sorry, what was the question? I
Oh, the
forgot the
question
question.
was, what systems, tools, or delegation strategies made it
Right.
possible
So,
for
so
you to?
thank you. People, processes, and protocols. So the processes are really simple. The ones that I developed initially were checklists for things like our podcast guests, things like you're all over that. Um, I developed and refined processes for converting my podcast guests into joint venture partners. Then and so all of these things were a short checklist. So I could make a note of the important things to cover off with a guest or converting them into a joint venture partner into a Word document with simple checklist. It's not, so we call this a process or a system, but it's just a checklist. And that could be given to someone else, to a freelancer to run. Tick all
So
those boxes and we
that
got it
leads
right.
me to a question, which is sort of the next question, which is creating checklists and standard operating procedures and things of this nature. Seems like that would logically lend itself to ChatGPT or AI or other
Well, that's
mechanisms to
true. I
make
mean, I
things
didn't have those
faster.
things back in the day, but yeah, absolutely it would. Fathom Note Taker AI is extraordinary for meetings to summarize what happened during the meeting. You could take a checklist of that. Um, I so the third part of that, by the way, is the protocol. And protocols involve meetings. So once a week, I meet with my business manager and we go through an agreed agenda. And then there's the ad hoc items that come and go. But things like reviewing our core KPIs, for example, how many active subscribers do we have? How many unsubscribes do we have? How many did we add to our subscriber list the last week? How many consults have we had? My goal is always to have multiple new client inquiries every week. So these KPIs are a regular part of the protocol that we meet with. We have a meeting with the operations and technical team. And I don't want to make this sound like it's a really big organization because it's not. It's just a bunch of people who are really good at what they do, and everyone's very clear and specific about what role they play in the organization. Um, and I really try to foster a culture within there of caring. We care about you as a wherever you are in the world. We've got, like, as I said, people in the gig economy doing 5 or 10 hours a week. Um, Europe, UK, it's growing. The point is, it's growing. You're not going to get here overnight, but you start as a indicated. So it's the people, hire the best, the processes, simple checklists to give them when you're handing over a series of actions to someone, and then the protocols. The glue that holds the whole thing together are those weekly meetings, and they happen at the same day, at the same time, on the same link every single week, unless I'm on holiday or uh, yeah. So
Okay.
that are the three things. But start with those two physical, very easy things to do. The hire the 5 hour admin person, the freelancer. Go to next month, block out one day a week or the month after if you can't do it next month, and that's how you start. That's the point. So
Well,
beyond that,
since I brought up AI and technology, how have you used AI or other technology to scale your business and reduce the time you spend working? And do you have a couple
well,
of examples?
yeah, so first of all, we use it for client work. So our instructors all have Fathom NoteTaker.ai. And so a summary of every meeting they have with a client goes to that client, both video and written form. It's absolutely exceptionally extraordinary. The second thing I've played with it with is with copywriting. And if you give it the right resource, for example, I've written, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 books. So we feed that into AI and say, hey, we want an email that speaks in my voice that promotes XYZ. It's absolutely extraordinary for that. I mean, it really is mind-bogglingly good. The other thing, because if you want abundance of revenue and you want the time off, the best of both worlds, and why would you want one without the other sort of thing? It's all very well having the money, but if you don't have the time, you don't have the lifestyle. It's all very well having the time, but if you don't have the money, you don't have the lifestyle. So it involves leverage and scalability, two different things. But in short, you've got to figure out a way how to get leads coming on a regular basis without you being there. And you've got to figure out a way how to deliver high value to those clients who sign up without you being there. And so the reason I mention that is one of our team who does the social media stuff, Cecilia, has proved to be really adept at AI and copywriting. So we're about to run the first campaign early April where I don't write a word, where she's taken content that I've created over the last God knows how many decades and created a campaign for a specific product which we're relaunching. And she's going to do the landing pages. She's going to do the sales pages. She's going to do. She's already started doing all the copy, and she's using AI to do that. So it's not just a great tool for me as an individual operator. It's also an amazing way to leverage the skill set of anyone that's on your team. So
Really?
that's the way we're using it currently, and the opportunities are mind-boggling. And I really didn't want AI to be very good. I wanted to try to just puddle through the next 20 years or so that I have left on this earth without having to worry about it. But I always reminded, I think it was Spielberg's, it was Eisner said, when the internet first started coming to of age, he said, you've got to think of this internet thing as kind of like a steamroller, and you get to choose whether you want to be on board or part of the road. So I, you know, I need to get on board, is what I'm saying. Yeah, and it's an extraordinary way to leverage results. I'm really interested to see how far it goes with marketing, for example, the identification of the right marketing partners. But again, it still needs to be fed with the right raw data. It still needs to, if you like, pointed in the right direction. It's kind of like, think of it kind of like a buffet or a smorgasbord, and you say, look, go and get me dinner. If you don't give me any direction, you could come back with tripe, or if you don't like bologna, or you're a vegan and come back with a plate full of beef. But so it still needs to be given the right raw material. It still needs to be pointed in the right direction. But if you do that, it's absolutely mind-boggling.
I couldn't agree with you more. My son is getting a PhD in analytical chemistry of all things, and it was a couple of
My
years ago.
God.
He says to me at Thanksgiving, "Mom, this thing, ChatGPT, it's going to change your world. It's going to rock your world. You're going to love it." And he was so exactly right. And it's one of those things that, I've been in business for decades now. And so, oh, here comes another big wave, another disruption, something to
Right.
fear or something to embrace. But I've really embraced it. And the more, garbage in, garbage out, good
Yeah.
input in, great output out, you have a choice and you can mold it and shape it. So I find
Mhm.
it to be very re-energizing for my my pursuit of mastery around copywriting, because I may have written something really great, but I can take it to ChatGPT and say, is this as great as I think it is? Is this as relatable, compelling, and inviting as I thought it could be? Do you have some suggestions to make it even better? And what do you know? I
Interesting.
get something better that I didn't even know how good it could be. So it's a great
Right.
copy collaboration tool, I find. So enough about me. Let's go back
Mhm.
to another question I have for you, which is overcoming mental blocks and shifting mindsets. What mindset shifts or mental practices were pivotal for you in breaking through revenue plateaus or achieving a better work-life balance?
It's a great question, and it's something. I'm knocking on the door of 70 now. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I started the mindset journey when I was 16. And I still remember the night that I made that decision to study, if you like, in an amateur way, kind of psychology, what makes the mind tick, what to do with emotions, etc. Um, First of all, you've got to lean into your emotions. If you're feeling anger, if you're feeling frustration, if you're feeling happiness, whatever you're feeling, the best thing you can do is, don't throw things around the house, but don't kick anything, but sit down and breathe into it, and literally breathe into it and allow yourself to feel it. My first book I wrote was on personal development. It's called Your Extraordinary Life, and I devote a whole chapter to that, chapter 44, about breathing through emotions so we dissipate them, so the mind clears, and then we've got a clear mind can make an effective decision. A mind that's angry or fearful or euphoric, for that matter, doesn't make a clear decision. It's you might make the right decision once in a while, but not regularly. So that's the first thing: is you got to be able to lean into and draw on the emotions you're experiencing, because it can be a roller coaster. And if you're not careful, it gets to be a downward spiral, and you end up feeling very anxious and alternately depressed. Second thing is morning questions. In the morning, whatever you're doing, whatever your routine is, brushing your teeth, going for a walk, making a coffee, two questions. One is, what do I appreciate about my achievements yesterday? And that achievement might be, I stopped and patted the dog. I did something for something else. You'll always find something that you can look back and reflect on and go, that was progress. What do I appreciate about my progress yesterday, my achievements yesterday? And the second question is, what am I grateful for about today? And those two questions will keep your mind uh, positive and proactive, and it'll clear a lot of stuff. And it'll just keep reminding you that life's actually pretty good. We're not living in certain hellholes around the world. Most of us are in free societies and have a lot of choice. I'm just reading Navalny's biography of this is Alexei Navalny, who died in a Siberian prison camp. Um, and one of his parts he writes is, people send me letters about how depressed they are that I'm still in prison. And he said, oh, for goodness sake, he said, finish your pumpkin latte at Starbucks, walk outside, and just be thankful for whatever you can be thankful for. Because trust me, wherever you are is better than where I am right now. And I'm staying positive, he said. I'm looking for the good in everything. So so I think that's a great reminder to all of us. But it's a real thing, and the mind is the unconscious in particular is your best servant if you can tame it. But by God, it's your worst master if you lose control of it.
Well, those are outstanding tips. I know your time is short and you have another meeting to run to quickly, but I don't want to miss this one. What are some of the biggest mistakes you might have made that slowed your journey to seven figures and 4-day weekends, and how did you fix them?
The biggest mistake I made was to defer my authority to a business partner. And I made that mistake twice. And it wasn't that one of the business partners proved to be unreliable, but the other one was a great guy. But the bottom line here, the moral of the story is back yourself. You've got instincts, you've got experience, you've got a brain, you've got intuition if you're tapping into that. And so if all of those things are giving you a green light and you do have a business partner or you have a business coach or an advisor or a mentor or a parent or a wife or a husband or whoever who's in your ear, at the end of the day, it's your business. You need to back yourself. And if you get intuitively, not emotionally, but intuitively, which doesn't carry a feeling with it, it's just an awareness, an insight. So intuitively and rationally, you've got a green light, you move forward regardless of what everyone else is saying. So biggest mistake
I'm
I
really
made on two
glad you said
occasions.
that because I just gave a keynote about a couple weeks ago called Be Your Own Wizard, which is kind of a
Nice.
take on Wicked and the Wizard of Oz. Sometimes we assign some undue power and authority to others instead of taking 100% responsibility for what's within our own control. And I think that's a really big idea that needs to be spread.
Mm.
Don't you?
I do think it can underpin a lot of progress. And this idea that someone is going to give me a hand up and make me a star and I'll be on the stage and everyone's going to love me because they've endorsed me. That's what I call the savior complex is, there's someone out there. I just have to get discovered and they will present me to their audience. Not going to happen.
Yeah,
So
we
you've got
can
to
take,
back yourself and
yes, back yourself.
you've got to do the work. Yeah. But back yourself. Those intuitive and the rational, get green light on both of them, move forward and by all means listen to other people, read books. Don't turn your brain to mash with TikTok. Um, read, talk, discuss, stay open-minded. If you don't like a particular world leader, make a list of 3 things that you like about them that you think are positive. Balance your brain. Don't get into an information vortex where you're only swirling around in the same ideas and the same beliefs. I'm not a fan of the extreme right wingers, but I still read Breitbart News. I still read Fox. I also read the New York Times. Um, so balance your experience of reality in business and in politics and in philosophy and wherever else. Balance it so that you're dealing with reality as it is and not just the information bullshit machine that's been fed to you by rich people who control media.
I feel so privileged to get to sit down and talk to you about all of this. And I'm pretty sure that everyone who's listening is feeling the exact same way. And I'm imagining that folks are very hungry and curious about where they can go to sit at the feet of more of your brilliance, Tom Poland. So, do you have a resource that folks can run and access so that they can be part of your world and start pondering how they can make this huge transition to 5-day weekends sooner versus later?
Well, at the moment, the best place they can go is gettomsfreebook.com. Whatever most popular book I have is featured on that page. It will change from time to time. About a year out from this, you'll be able to go and get the 5-day weekend. I'm going to plan to write that mid this year and launch it next year. So yeah, if you get into the Leadsology ecosystem, anyone can email me at any time, tom@leadsology.guru. And it's not guru as in gosh, you're a guru, it's in GURU.
Okay.
So is that guru? You can email me if you want a copy of Your Extraordinary Life, the book I referenced earlier on about personal development. We'll send you a free PDF copy. Here to help, here to serve. But be respectful, I guess, and don't write me an encyclopedia for an email. Just a short one's good.
Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you so much for gracing me for a second time as a guest on the Learn More, Earn More show. It's always a privilege and a pleasure to speak with you all the way across the world, wherever you are. But you always drop so much value. And I know you've
Yeah,
mentioned
I
at the top of the hour that you had another
appreciate the
meeting.
opportunity to be here. And
So
congrats on your move again.
thank you.
It must be lovely just to walk out the door with a t-shirt instead of a coat. Yeah. Nancy, thanks for
Love
having
your
me.
business, love your life. And the only final thing I would say is I'm going to put in the show notes the Be Your Own Wizard blueprint that I've created that helps you learn not to defer your power to others, but to take your own power
Mm,
to make your
love it.
magic happen. So we both
Love
have
it.
things to offer that are complementary and that support this big idea that you have. So thanks for being my guest. Thanks for being my friend.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks for
All the
being
best.
a mentor to me. And I look forward to further and future conversations where we can learn more to earn more. Thanks all for tuning in. And thanks, Tom, for being here today.
Thanks, Nancy. Cheers.
Cheers.